Guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little disappointed in you all right now. Last week I posted a video saying that I would be taking subscriber replays, and as of Sunday, March 23rd, I have received exactly 2. Now, if it's a problem with you guys not being able to figure out how to upload replays to a file sharing site, there are plenty of tutorials on Google. You just have to type in how to upload Total War replays to a file sharing site on Google, and you'll be able to find plenty of info on that. I also provide some information in the description of the video, and all in all, like, I was expecting more people to send in replays, because for those who do not have the opportunity to record or screen cap their Total War gameplay, I've thought that it would be nice for you guys to be able to share some of your good replays. But as of the moment, I've only gotten 2. One of them was for Shogun 2, and it was corrupted, I believe, and the other one was for Rome 2, and I might end up doing that. But regardless, if you guys want to send in me replays, please do that, because I have managed to get some good replays here, so I'll still be uploading my own content, but I did make that video for a reason. I want your guys' replays. So, moving on, this was a 2v2 that I played with some of my good friends. RTK Timur on my side is going to be on Bactria. I am Athens. Across from me is Sith Redstag, formerly of RTK, and across from Timur is Sith Piper. And Sith is a pretty active clan right now. I think they have some pretty good players. I haven't gotten too many opportunities to play against them, but I do know that Redstag and Piper are pretty good players. So what I wanted to talk about today was Athens and kind of how the meta in Rome 2 is at the moment, and definitely I wanted to talk a lot about the Athenian builds that I think is really strong, and how it can counter the Seleucids, Bactria, or any cataphract faction pretty hard. So let's get into this replay. I'll go over my army setup real quick. In the middle here, I've got 4 pikemen, just normal pikemen. I have 3 mercenary Rhodian slingers, 5 light peltasts, a thorax hoplite, and I believe 5 or 4 mercenary veteran hoplites, and then just a couple cavalry, citizen cav. And then Timur over here has a pike build with peltasts and some Bactrian noble horse backing that all up. Seems like he really loves Bactria. He uses them a lot. But one thing that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to pause it right here before we get too far into this, is that I really think Athens matches up super well versus factions that have a lot of heavy cav, like Seleucids, like Bactria, that typically bring cataphracts. And the reason for that is Athens has a lot of ways to counter cataphract factions and cavalry factions. The reason for that is because of mercenary veteran hoplites, which have basically everything you would ever need against a cavalry faction. They have the extremely high armor, very good shield value defense, so they can withstand charges, and they have a bonus versus large of 20, which means they absolutely butcher cavalry in a head-on-head fight. What I'm going to do in this battle is I am going to set up in these woods right here, and it's going to make it very hard for his skirmish units, his Persian light archers, to shoot in on me and cause a lot of damage. It's also going to give my mercenary Rhodian slingers a lot of ability to shoot out of the woods, take out a lot of those archers, and basically I'm going to have a big advantage here because I'm completely shielded by the trees here. They're going to protect me against his cavalry charges, they're going to protect me against his archers, and just in general I think it's a very strong location for me to be in. So I'm going to set up right here. If I was Redstag in this situation, I would not have come up this far to start fighting me, because he really doesn't have an ability to take me out of those woods. He doesn't have the ranged advantage, and so the only way he's going to make me come out is just by backing up and maybe going to try to attack RTK Timur. Instead, he's going to set up right here, and it's going to give me plenty of firing angle to just shoot in on his pikes, and I can do a lot of damage that way. Now, just looking at his army composition, I feel like he's going to have a really hard time breaking this pike wall and my hoplites, because I have the one thing that I do love about the pike hoplite combination is the fact that I can have the pikes just hold down the middle here. The regular pikemen, certainly better than the levy pikemen, so I'll be able to win one-on-one in a pike battle, but those hoplites will be able to just prevent his flanking from being particularly effective, because they can kill these cataphracts so easily, especially if they don't get good charges off. And in the woods here, he's not going to be able to get very good charges off. So in many ways I think I have a very big advantage already. I've been able to do a lot of damage here. You can already see all these low armored levy pikeman units getting shot down by my Rhodian slingers. And one thing I certainly want to talk about, again, right before this melee engagement starts, is that when you're bringing a skirmish build with any faction now, I feel like it's really important to have peltasts, and I feel like it's really important to have a ranged advantage as well. Rushing in this game does not seem to be working quite as well as it used to. It's still completely viable on some factions, like if you take Rome for example, you can certainly rush on some factions and completely overpower them. I do not feel like it's the strongest army composition anymore, making a rush build. And the reason for that is because peltasts can punish you so hard. Like, even heavily armored units get absolutely butchered by peltasts, and pikes are good enough now that even like a normal pike unit or a levy pike unit, from the front they're going to be able to withstand against rush armies. So what these kind of builds do, like the build that I have here, it's very flexible. It allows me to skirmish a lot. It allows me to hold down my opponent in the center with pikes and then flank with my hoplite units, and enemy cav is going to have a really hard time dealing with me. But the other thing about these skirmish builds is the fact that if I'm able to bring a combination of range units like slingers, elite tier slingers that will be able to beat other slingers or archers one-on-one in a skirmish battle, and then bring peltasts as well, it means that if I have that range advantage, my opponent will have to attack me, have to attack on to the front of my pikes probably, and it makes it very difficult for them to kind of enforce their will on, or impose their will on the battle, because again, having that range advantage, certainly right now when range units are so strong, is a very big deal. Especially when I'm playing against someone like the Seleucids, they're going to have to put their cavalry into dangerous locations, like putting them near spears, because they have to try to get at my range units because they're causing so much damage. And these peltasts, like I said, they are 100% the meta right now. They are just really strong, shred even heavily armored units, do a lot of damage. They're just really versatile, good range units, and probably, I mean, they certainly have the highest kill potential of any skirmish unit in the game. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see these cataphracts charge in on the flank. I'm just going to use my citizen cav to tie down his Median cavalry and his cataphracts, and then back up with some mercenary veteran hoplites, which, like I said before, do fantastic against enemy cavalry. So again, his cavalry is not going to get good charges off in these woods. They really do. I'm not sure what the penalty on a charge bonus is when you're in the woods, but certainly cavalry is not nearly as effective in the woods. And what I'm going to start doing here now is, after I've tied down some of these cataphracts, I'm going to start having my jabs shoot in. Now, you all know what jabs are capable of doing versus elephants. They're very strong at killing elephants, but they're also very strong at killing heavily armored units like cataphracts. So they're tied down, and normally it would be extremely hard for me to kill these guys very quickly, but with the armor piercing of javelins, I'm going to be able to do a lot of damage to these cataphracts as well, and they're very tied down. So the pike battle is going to start here in the center pretty soon. Again, I have some of my peltasts and Rhodian slingers shooting in, and even though levy pikemen are kind of a meta build at the moment, they're really cheap pikes that are actually able to hold out from the front very easily. The problem with them is that they have very low morale and very low armor, so one-on-one in a pike battle against normal pikemen, of course they're going to lose. And then they also are very susceptible to range fire as well, so javelins and slingers are going to do a lot of damage to them. I'm winning this pike fight very easily, and he is getting some good shots off on some of my pike units. As you can see, this one only has 55 armor, so they're actually taking quite a bit of casualties as well. But regardless, I am able to kill a lot of these levy pikemen off, and I basically completely shut down this flank from coming in to attack me. Now, he did have some silver shield swordsmen. These guys will do pretty well against mercenary veteran hoplites. Certainly one-on-one they would be able to win. But the thing is, I just need to hold these down while his center crumbles and I kill his range units and his pikes, and then that will allow me to pull back my slingers and then get them facing this way and start shooting into this melee blob over here. So, and this is exactly what I want from a mercenary veteran hoplites. They don't need to have a ton of killing power, even though they do actually have 40 melee attacks, so they are a good killing power unit anyway. But the best thing about them is that they can just hold out for a very long time, keep his cav tied down, and give my range units time to just pluck away at my opponent. And certainly I think I was able to do a pretty efficient job of that. And his cavalry attack has pretty much been stopped dead. Most of his Median cav is gone. I pulled back some of my pikes and my thorax hoplites to kill them, and a lot of his cavalry is at half strength or worse. And his silver shield swordsman, without a strong hammer and anvil from his cataphracts, probably not going to be able to break through my hoplites. Let's look over at this side. I think we're going to see a cav battle pretty soon here. Tim is just skirmishing at the moment with some of his horse skirmishers, getting some good shots on the Bactrian noble horse, done some damage there. And yeah, we're going to see the Indian armored elephants committed into a melee fight here, and I believe they are starting, yeah, they're going to get into the Bactrian noble horse of Tim, and this unit right here has kind of been isolated. Now it's going to be a little confusing because both of these factions are Bactria, but just remember that Tim is on my team and he has the teal outside, and then Piper has the red outside, so that's how you'll be able to differentiate between the two. But it definitely looks like Tim is losing this cav fight. The Indian armored elephants are going to make that a very tough fight to win. Really what I think Tim needs to have is have those skirmishers shooting in on the Indian armored elephants, and I think he did do that. He got some kills there, but with the cavalry superiority that looks like Piper has, I think he's just going to be able to chase off a lot of Tim's cav. Over on my side, I've pretty much cleared up the fight. The Hellenic cataphracts are tied down in melee, and they did actually get into some of my light peltasts. But again, I just need to tie him down, and once I tie him down with my spear units, they should be easy pickings for the rest of my javs. And his general will die pretty soon here. And once that occurs, I will have wiped off the Seleucids, and we can move on to my Bactrian opponent. Ouch, that hurt a lot. So I really like that Athenian build, honestly, and I know that I've said in multiple videos before that I think Athens is a competitively viable faction, and I still think that's the case, even more so now, because they have, the biggest reason now is that they have an extremely strong set of skirmish units. Like if you compare them to most of the factions in the game, they have better skirmish units. They have the two best slinger and archer units in the game. They have the Cretan, or the mercenary Rhodian slingers, and they have the mercenary Cretan archers. Both of those are 150 range, and the elite slingers and archer units of the game. And then they have light peltasts and mercenary Thracian peltasts as well. Like they just have a ridiculous assortment of range units, and it gives them a lot of options in their army compositions in terms of like a skirmish build. Let's see, one more volley. I think he ran out of ammo here, so I might just commit one of my troops into melee a couple seconds from now. But yeah, Seleucids are done, and we're going to move on to Bactria. See if we can see his general. I don't know where, I still have no idea what the actual model of the general unit looks in this game. Like I've never been able to figure it out. I'm not even sure if there is a general unit model. But those cataphracts are dead. And these Persian archers are dead as well. A couple jabs to the face should solve that problem. And now we're going to commit the rest of my forces at Bactria. Now of course he's going to pull away. He does have range units left, and I believe they all have ammo. I'm not even sure if these guys have seen battle yet. Okay, they do. They have a couple kills, but much of Piper's force hasn't actually been committed yet. He just kind of fought in a cab battle with Tim and won that, but because I've already won my side, it's going to make it very hard for the Sith players to actually win this game, I think. He also has a Levy Pike build as well. He does have some Thorax Swordsmen for a flanking force, which I think is good. I definitely think you need some kind of force that's not pikemen to flank. Like you want to have those pikes to hold down the center, and maybe if you can, like funnel your opponent into the front of your pikes, but you need something to either protect your flank, which I think Hoplites are really good at, or sword units to flank and get hammer naval charges off. I think that's probably the best combination. I'm not sure that I'm a huge fan of Thorax Swordsmen, but then again, Bactria doesn't have many options when it comes to the sword department. In fact, I think Thorax Swordsmen might be the only sword unit they have. So still have plenty of range units left, and I'm going to use that to its fullest potential. Take some of these Levy Pikemen off the field. And he's going to keep trying to kite, but the problem is when there are this many forces on the field, it makes it very hard to just run away from us. Like, we have two armies, we can completely surround him, so there's going to come a point pretty soon here where he basically just has to make his last stand. And I think the best way to do that would probably just be to focus on me, bring all his pikes, line them up like right here, and try to kill me as fast as possible before Tim can reinforce. But regardless, at this point, it does not look very good for them. Like, they're going to have a really hard time winning this battle. So Tim does have some of his Bactrian noble horse over here on the right flank, and I'm going to try to reinforce him with my veteran hoplites. Kind of a micro mistake here, I believe. I think he kind of gets his His cav caught up on my veteran hoplites. So with that bonus 20 versus large, should be able to kill that cavalry pretty easy. And then I'm just going to commit right up the middle. These peltasts ran out of ammo, so I'm just going to commit them, tie down some of his peltasts. And soon here, I believe we are going to start targeting all of our slingers and range units on these Indian armored elephants. And they've already taken a lot of damage, like their HP is pretty low. And so yeah, look at that, only one volley took one elephant down. And yep, right now, Tim's going to focus all of his range units onto these elephants, and they're going to die very quickly. I always do feel bad for the elephants. They didn't do anything wrong. Oh, that's so mean. That was so mean. Okay. Well, all the elephants are dead now, and that means that Bactria has absolutely no hope of coming back in this battle. And the levy pikemen from the front will not be able to beat my thorax pikemen and pikemen, so we'll be able to shred through those pretty quickly. And that's going to be the end of the battle. That is a lot of range units firing in, though. So I think that was a pretty good demonstration of the Hoplite Pike Peltast combination. I think it's very strong, and I have a lot of fun doing it because it, especially when you're playing against a cavalry faction, and when I say cavalry faction, I don't mean like Masagatai or Roxolani, even though I feel like it actually would be very strong versus them as well. Probably even stronger versus them. But when I say cav faction, I'm talking more about like Parthia, Seleucids, any faction that's capable of bringing Hellenic cataphracts or royal cataphracts. I think this build is very strong versus. So just looking at the stats real quick, Tim had almost 800 kills, I had 1600, Red Stag had close to 1000, and Piper, because he only fought in that cav fight, he didn't have quite as many kills. I don't like levy pikemen. I know it's the meta build right now. I feel like whenever I use them, they just rout instantly. So I never use those. Like the lowest tier pike unit you're going to see me use probably are pikemen. And this battle, they certainly did their job. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I will be doing some more replay casts soon. Please send me your replays if you have any that you want to share. At the moment, I will probably end up doing one or two, maybe both of the ones that I've seen so far, but I can't make any guarantees. They weren't the most amazing battles I've ever seen, to be honest. But I think the Shogun 2 one might have been corrupted anyway. But regardless, I will talk to you all later, and I hope you all enjoyed.